Hey everyone, Clio here and welcome to another reading vlog. So I almost have like a natural ring light now. I guess it's the reflection coming off of the snow because yes, we have snow. So it's Monday morning. I just actually said goodbye to you guys off of the previous vlog, but so now I am starting a new one. The goals for this week are finishing The Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons. I will talk more about it in a later update, but so that's basically what I'm planning for this week. But who knows? Past week was super productive, so who knows? Maybe I also will have like so much more reading done this week than I'm intending to. But I mean, I shouldn't get too excited about it because I have no idea. The audiobook is like 27 hours. Whoops. That's what you get when you're holding a phone. The audiobook is like 27 hours, so I don't know how much time that it's going to take me to get through that one throughout the week. I'm also still planning to continue on with Don Quixote and then hopefully even finish it maybe next week, which would be like a couple of days earlier than I was originally intending for it to be done. So we'll just have to see how that goes. But so yeah, just wanted to already get this vlog started because sometimes I definitely procrastinate on that part of vlogging. It's like 11:30 and I have done almost nothing because I'm so unmotivated today. This is my Monday. That's always the case. I hate Mondays. But moving into the sofa on a Monday might not have been the best idea. So yeah, I'm trying to find some energy or motivation to get into work. I am doing stuff, but it's just like so unmotivated and just really like struggling to get through this day. It's the combination of the withdrawal from Polarton with like a super intense reading weekend in which I had this like massive community spirit with watching the reading sprints of the people organizing Polarton, being in the chat with mostly all the same people every single time, things like that, to now having to go back to work, do work stuff, fix problems. So yeah, not really motivated, and I just want to go there. I want to see the snow. So probably my lunch break is just gonna be a walk break. I'm just gonna go on a walk in the snow, I think, and then eat at my desk. Cause it was a mistake moving to the living room, but now I cannot move anymore. So probably before I sign off today, I need to move this laptop back there and like get rid of the entire setup I've done now here with the power cord, extension cord, and all of those things to make it more difficult for me to return to the living room tomorrow because definitely I'm only doing this one day because otherwise that's gonna be a problem.
I never think, I never know. I'm stuck and left alone. I've been lost, I've been fine. My cause is not defined. Won't you kiss me? Won't you play? Won't you draw me? Ain't no way I could deny you, I could stray. Won't you kiss me? Ain't no way. Want you, come and try me now, so cool. Come and try me now. I was never left alone.
So it's Monday evening, so I just wanted to give my first update about Ruin of Kings. So I am about 60 pages or something like that in, and I actually bought the ebook. That's an extra book that I purchased, but I really kind of had to do it because you know, I could get through the audiobook just like that, but there are definitely certain terms when it comes to the world building of a fantasy book that I just find more enjoyable if you can actually see them, if you actually know what is happening, because otherwise I feel like you're kind of losing part of the world building, or at least then I just feel like I cannot take in that whole situation as well, you know. I kind of need to physically see the words of like names of kingdoms, things like that, for example, for me to really retain that information and to be able to make connections related to that world, for example. So if they're mentioning something about neighboring kingdoms or something like that, if I don't physically see the name of that neighboring kingdom, then it's kind of just like wafts over me and I'm just like, I'm not really retaining it. So I decided to get the ebook for that reason. The one thing I will say, which is annoying, so I would say like either go audiobook route or go physical book route, and I would actually say just go physical book route, is that the ebook does not have the footnotes in there, which the audiobook does have, and I think the footnotes are important, so I don't really know why the ebook doesn't have it. I also kind of looked at like maybe whether the footnotes are at the back of the book, but so far it doesn't seem to be the case. I mean, maybe I need to look back in it, but it seemed like it just had like a glossary and like a character list or something like that. So that's kind of weird because at least in the audiobook, the footnotes are very well integrated into the text, but in ebook format they are not there, and so I feel like I'm missing something. And so the problem is that I put like the book on like 2x speed to match my reading speed. But then every once in a while there's a footnote that pops in between there, and so like my eyes keep on going. It's like, whoa, I can no longer follow, and I can also no longer really fully hear what is being said. So I'm struggling with the footnotes. So I would have really loved for the footnotes to at least be at the end. So that's what I actually tried now. So I was like, okay, at the end of this chapter I'll just go to wherever the footnotes are in the ebook, but I really can't seem to find it. So that I definitely say is a huge negative against the ebook, but so I'm really enjoying it so far. So I don't know too much about the story yet, but so basically at the beginning of this story we are introduced to our protagonist called Kieran, and at the beginning we know that he somehow landed up in prison, and his sort of like jailer is this sort of monstrous being who can take memories or the identities of people that she has killed, but she also has kind of abilities to read people's mind, because she also kind of can see into his mind more or less. And so it is a super interesting structure to this story, because first of all we have that sort of timeline of knowing that they are in prison, like that he's being imprisoned by her and that they're having this conversation together. She wants him to tell his life story. Then we get his life story from his perspective, where he starts the story from the moment that he was sold as a slave to the Black Monk Brotherhood. Not entirely sure anymore now what the name is of the Brotherhood. A sort of black something Brotherhood. But then we also get his life story told by this monster, Talon her name is, and she will then tell the story through the people around him whose souls she has stolen, whose soul she has eaten. And so it's a super interesting structure, because apart from that we have this third perspective, which is then the footnotes, which is somebody who has found the transcription of that conversation and he's giving his sort of like historical context surrounding that story. But throughout the story it then also becomes clear that he actually also has a link with the story itself. So really enjoying it so far as well. Throughout the chapters, as they are like telling their side of the story, we also get glimpses of the sort of like present day storyline. We also get glimpses of them in prison commenting on what the other person is saying about what has taken place. So really loving that part so far, and really intrigued with the world as well, though I'm somebody who is like, I think I recently found out what it's called through Ashley's channel, but I have like probably aphantasia, which means that you don't really see pictures inside your mind when you're reading, which when going into a new fantasy world can sometimes be a little bit difficult, especially when it's one where I don't really have a lot of experience with. So in this case, for example, I don't know whether it's really
taking a lot of elements out of folklore. I think that's sort of like Talon the monster is definitely something that comes from, I think, Chinese mythology or Chinese folk tales. That monster also made an appearance in the Poppy War, for example, and so possibly there are a lot more connections there as well. But I don't really know all those elements, nor am I sure that there really is something like that. But so that means that I'm having difficulties like getting an image of what the different races are, what the different peoples are. There's this sort of like, their captors are called the Vanne, and clearly they stand out, but because I don't really make images in my mind, I have no idea what they look like now. And so I'm trying to make somewhat of an effort there to try and get like little bit better of an understanding of the world in that sense. But so far, so good. Really enjoying it so far. I also got some extra time to read because I have physical therapy on Monday, but I needed to bike there and my bike is frozen shut, so I tried to get it open but it wouldn't. And of course I know how long it takes me to bike there, so it's not like I have a lot of leeway in terms of, I cannot, like, if I'm, so it's not like I leave like with 15 minutes to spare or something like that. I leave in order to arrive just on time. So yeah, I mean, I was stuck there, like I was stuck working on it I was trying to get it open for like 5 minutes or something like that, but then I was just like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna be late now, there's no way that I can still make it on time. So yeah, it did save me from having to bike out into the snow, and it got me more reading time. So it was just a little bit it was just a little bit of a stupid reason to have to call my physical therapist like, yeah, I won't be able to make it because my bike is frozen solid. So but so yeah, she was very understanding, and apparently I wasn't even the first one who had that problem today. So yeah, it is extremely cold here now. I think it was like maximum of -5 degrees today, and yeah, that's not good because I don't think we have minus degrees as a maximum that often. So the entire week is actually going to be minus something. I think this was the coldest day, and we're getting like gradually warmer throughout the week, but that's not very warm still. But so yeah, I'm gonna dive back into the book now. Thursday evening, and I'm updating you guys on the Ruin of Kings because I've been really enjoying this book. I don't remember when I last updated you guys, so if I'm repeating myself, I'll have to edit stuff. But yeah, as I said at the beginning, I love the structure, and that's still the case, though. I mean, I loved it more at the beginning than I am liking it now for reasons that I cannot go into. But I am still very much liking it. And even though I've seen people be kind of annoyed with the structure and say that the structure makes it like overly complex and unneedy, and that, they would often feel like, I want to continue with this storyline, and then you move on to the other storyline, that is not my experience. I do have that sort of sense that, you want to see how the story continues, and then you switch to the other perspective or to the other timeline. But I do actually like it. I don't necessarily like it in the moment, but I do always like, but I am always liking what we are going into with it in that other storyline as well. And so I am kind of liking the way in which that's making me continue, because it's making me go like, no, I want to go back to the other storyline, and then I just keep on continuing. And that's why I've been able to get through quite a lot of it at this point in time. And then it's also action-packed, It is actually a lot more action-packed than any other book that I think I usually like. Usually I don't really like it being as action-packed as it is currently being, and perhaps we are losing a little bit in the terms of character development in that sense. It's a lot more plot oriented than what I usually prefer. I don't think we have had big character work yet the way that I usually like it, but I'm also not really hating it because we are going into certain things that I like. We are diving into certain real world issues such as sexism, and what I've also really liked is that there's not really sexual assault, but there is a sort of mental assault there is a sort of mental assault that takes place, and the discussion of that mental assault is taking place it's taking place with a male character, and the whole sort of like way in which he needs to deal with that, or the whole sort of discussion of how he's dealing with that, seems very reminiscent of how a woman would have to deal with rape, for example. And so I find it very refreshing to read about something like that in a epic fantasy, because I don't think I've ever read an epic fantasy where the male character is the one who suffers from any type of assault, and so I've been really finding that refreshing. I've also really been intrigued about the world. I definitely need to learn a lot more. But we do have these sort of like 3 parallel realms that are separated by sort of thin veils. So there's kind of this idea of our world, magical world, the world of the dead, so the sort of underworld, and then they're divided by these thin veils. However, we also get commentary from this sort of scholar, and he then refers to the fact that it's actually more like there are 2 worlds, the living and the dead, and magic is a sort of veil in between the 2. So I'm really liking that sort of aspect to the different layers to this story, and the way in which we might get presented a certain version of the facts, but then the footnotes will give us a different version of that, or will give us more insight into what is being said. I'm really loving the character of Talon so far. I think she is a very intriguing character. She's intriguing in the sense that we know where she came from, we know who she was before she became this monster, and that is an intriguing element in and of itself, but it's also intriguing to see what happened with her now, and to see what type of potential she has for the story and for story development. So I really have been enjoying it so far a whole lot. So I'm hoping that will continue. I'm kind of getting a little bit more in a sort of like rut at the moment. We're kind of staying a little bit more stationary in terms of the plot, in terms of the locations where these stories are taking place at the moment, which kind of has slowed down the pace for me. And so I'm really interested to see what we're doing with those locations and what we're developing there. There's definitely a romance that I'm rooting for, another one of these romances that is not like a typical romance that you uncover in fantasy. So I'm down for it, and I've actually read that there's a certain type of representation that's going to come at some point. I think I read somebody who said that, who hadn't read the book yet, so this might be completely wrong information, but there was somebody who said like, okay, I need to remember to read this book because somebody told me that there's gonna be polyamory rap in there, and so very much hoping for that to take place. But so yeah, so far still super excited about this one. It is Thursday evening. I still need to start my chapters for today. I also need to finish my vlog for tomorrow. So I will read a couple of chapters now, I think, then edit the vlog, and then hopefully still get around to a couple more chapters. I am thinking that on Friday, so tomorrow, I'm going to take the day off from reading. I think I mentioned it a couple of vlogs ago that I wanted to, keep my Fridays book free so that I can get around to watching movies or TV, which is something that I've been totally not doing in the last year or so. So I think that that's going to be the case. So in that sense, I do really want to get some reading done still today, so that I might still finish it this weekend. Hey guys, so I am popping in here because I received my Books That Matter subscription box. This is my January subscription box, so it's been en route for about a month because of the UK. I couldn't show the like unboxing of the packaging because it has my address on every single side because of pro formas now. So But yeah, it's finally here. I can finally dive into this one. I have been spoiled for this box, or at least for the book in this box, because, you know, I mean, it's been over a month. It's been enough times that Instagram has popped up the stories for Books That Matter, so I have seen which book is in here, and in the February one as well. But I'm happy with both of them. So for those of you who are new here, this is the way that it looks inside. They are a UK-based subscription box that wants to deliver books that matter, and so a lot of times it will be books that have some sort of feminist agenda, for example. There have been a few times in which it was also really diving into sustainability, for example. Don't really know anymore what the theme is for the January box, so this is the book that is in there, and that is Skin by E.M. Reapy. Now, I actually don't know what this book is about, because I was spoiled for which book, but I didn't look into the book because I wanted to at least let that remain a sort of mystery. So what does it say? It says, would you travel the world to feel at home in your skin? Natalie is uncomfortable in herself. Her most recent relationship is long since over, and she is disillusioned with her career as a teacher. So she packs her bags and goes traveling in hope of finding a place for herself in the world. But her isolation abroad only heightens her sense of unease. Obsessed with how others perceive her, she recoils from relationships and eats compulsively and self-destructively to silence the anxious voice in her head that never seems satisfied. Skin engages powerfully with issues of self and belonging via an incredibly beguiling protagonist, intelligent and self-aware, sharp and acute. That does sound amazing, and I've seen that, you know, a lot of people were getting back at Books That Matter about how much they enjoyed reading this one, and I am very eager to dive into this one. So it might really not take that long, even though I say that now, but who knows when I will actually dive into this one. But ideally I will dive into it this month so that it doesn't add to my TBR, because I don't need to use credits to buy this one, because it's part of a subscription service that I started 6 months ago or something like that. So I basically already paid for it at that point in time, and so it doesn't count as a credit for my system, but you know, it will be adding to my TBR if I don't finish it within this month. So maybe even I will still get it. Maybe if I still have extra time this month, I will dive into it immediately. Now, apart from that, what I really like about the Books That Matter subscription box is that the things that are included with it are very functional. You know, I never really knew about book subscription boxes until I joined BookTube, and then when I started them, I was first like very excited, but on the other hand, I was like, yeah, okay, but a lot of those things you don't really need. And I'm definitely trying to declutter a lot and not have so many unnecessary things in my house, because that just means that you need to find space for all of those things, or you need to constantly be cleaning up after them if you do use them and things like that. So I do try to go more minimalist. I'm totally not a minimalist, but I'm trying to reduce the amount of stuff I have in any case. And so with those subscription boxes, a lot of times I felt like, yeah, but do you really need that? And you know, it seemed like a lot of items were recurring items that you then just had with a different design on it. And while I could be like, okay, it's fine for me to receive a pen pouch once, if you're going to receive like 2 a year, or if you're going to receive 1 every year, for example, that's also not really useful. So what I've been finding with the Books That Matter subscription box is, so far at least, that I've really been enjoying the things that have come with it, because they are a lot more functional, and they're also not in a certain fandom design. You know, they are very much in a sort of generic design, a design that is centered around the theme of the box, but that isn't centered around the book itself, for example. Or when it's centered around the book itself, it's, for example, a bookmark or something like that. So that has been really nice, because that means that you can really use those items a lot more. So first item in here is one that I've had a few times already from that, and that is a tea bag. So this is a Bird and Blend tea pouch. We've had a few from that brand. We've also had one from Tea Pigs, and that one I actually tried last week and I really enjoyed. This one is called Moondrop Dreams, so not entirely sure what it is. It seems to have rooibos in it with apple, rosehip, lavender and lemon, so very fruity one. I'm not necessarily a very big fan of fruity, but it does have rooibos, so it does have tea itself. So I do and I really like rooibos, so hopefully this is going to be a huge hit with me as well. So always great to have a little bit of a tea sample bag. And then what we have this time is a sort of therapy balm. So it's essential essences, I'm going to assume. The idea is that you put it on your pillow, I think. So it says, the perfect start to your bedtime ritual. Sleep well is also a great travel companion when on the move, such as during air travel. Ah yeah, okay, you need to put it on your like temples, your neck or your wrists. And it can help to kind of like relax you, to, you know, reset your mind. I know a friend who swears by this sort of like scent on her pillow in order to be able to sleep, so I'll be eager to try it out for myself. And I will say that I used one of their subscription boxes had like an eye mask that heated up, and I used that one last week as a sort of nice wellness moment. So even though wasn't really anything that you could reuse or something like that, it was a nice self-care moment. So it seems to be quite self-care centered box. I should maybe have looked at the theme by now. So the theme is "You Are Your Best Thing," so it's very much self-care oriented indeed. And so here, this is an interesting one. I don't know what it is. So it says self-care prompts. Don't know whether you can see that. I will have close-ups if not. So it's a set of 15 self-care cards to help you take care of yourself first. Each day select a card at random and take the actions stated on the card. Building the habit of making time for yourself each day will help you lead a more fulfilling and happier life. That's interesting. I will definitely try that. I will definitely do that in like a reading vlog. Not this one, because I'm always at the end of this one. It's already Friday. But maybe I will do it in like next week's vlog or something like that. Use one of these cards every single day. It's interesting. It's fun. Then there's an essay in there called Break the Glass by Rachel Edwards. So I enjoyed the previous essay that has been in there of Elif Shafak, so it's just a nice little extra thing to consume. I do like consuming essays, so that'll be interesting to dive into. Bookmark, always happy with a bookmark. You Are Your Best Thing by Toni Morrison. So apparently the theme of the month is a quote by Toni Morrison. So I love myself a beautiful bookmark, and I've been gathering a lot recently. And so the final item that is in there is called Recipes for Self-Love, and it's a calendar. So this is why it would have been nice to have this in January, but no, it's not the fault of the Books That Matter box themselves. I work at an international company. I know how horrible shipping from the UK has been, and we work with medical devices, so we even have priority, and so our delays weren't as big as this one, but I can easily imagine it being very different if you're a private company, for example. But so yeah, this is a calendar that you can hang up on your wall, and it has kind of these prompts. So for example, for the month of January, it said, question coping mechanisms that no longer serve you. So it has these kind of sort of prompts that, you know, can help you think about certain aspects of your life. There's certain habits, certain people that are in your life, and maybe help you make changes if changes are needed to be made. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be using this calendar because I didn't have a calendar yet for 2021, so that is definitely a very useful gift. And then obviously, as I said, I'm definitely going to be enjoying the other prompts as well, and hopefully diving into the books soon. But so yeah, this is my my January box. I will link the details of the Books That Matter subscription box down below, and hopefully you will have a review for this one coming soon. But so yeah, this is my lunch break. I am now making some lunch, and then I will be diving into work for a couple more hours, and then finally weekends. So I am a little bit further into the Rune of Kings, but not that much. I didn't get that much reading done yesterday. I think all previous days I've gotten like 13, 14 chapters in, and yesterday I did get some 10 chapters in still. But so I am about the 60% mark of the book, and I am going to take a break tonight. As I said in a previous clip, tonight I'm going to reserve just for like watching TV, movie, whatever. A friend of mine has her birthday, and we might do a sort of like impromptu video conference. I also just found out that it's Chinese New Year today. The entire week I've been seeing hints of Chinese New Year, and I've been like, I need to look it up so that I can go buy fortune cookies in advance or something like that. And so now it's the day itself. I could still do it because it seems like all the Chinese stores and things like that are open. So I think I'll still see after work if I can try and go there, but I also need to go grocery shopping as well. So we'll see. I know my laziness, I'm making no promises here. Hey guys, it is Saturday. I bought myself a new phone, so whatever quality this is you're getting is the new phone, so I'm hoping for a better quality. In any case, when you're taking pictures, I notice the quality difference immensely. This is, of course, the lesser of the two cameras because this is the one facing my way, but I will absolutely say that I'm loving it so far. So today I have been mainly going to the city center. I've been going on a walk with a colleague. I've been having some pastéis de nata. I've been having some coffee, some croquettes, and then I went to the shower shop to buy a new flower pot to repot my plants. And then on the way home, I dropped it, and so now I no longer have a new flower pot, but I did repot some plants, so I didn't take any footage at the moment because it's always such a mess. So, but I will be showing you the plants. So I already had these two plants. So this is the begonia, which is kind of looking sad at the moment, but it is winter, so it's not really growing. So I'm hoping that that is the reason why it's looking sad, but yeah, we'll have to find out. Then this little guy over here, which has been doing crazy because basically this is how much it has been growing. It has been doing very well. Then this pathetic little boy over here is a living room plant usually, but it has been chewed on immensely by my cats, mainly by Fate. And so it used to be in a way bigger bowl with a lot more plants to it. But then I decided, okay, fine. It's not growing back on its own, so I took it out of the pot. I removed a whole lot of the root system, and then I repotted it now, and hopefully it will propagate again and it will grow again. And then the final one, this one over here, has been repotted. So it used to be in a pot where basically it used to be this circumference. So it basically had like only roots in the pot anymore. So I put it into a bigger pot again so it can expand a little bit more again. So yeah, these are my bedroom plants. I do have a few others, but these ones are my main priority at the moment. I want these guys to flourish. And this is my Suicidal Aloe Vera plant, which is basically, it depotted itself. And so I have looked up whether it's possible to regrow it. And so apparently you could regrow it from a leaf. And so this needs to dry now until there's a sort of like skin that grows over this part of it. And then I can try to put it into pot soil again and hopefully get a plant out of it. But I do not have a great track record with aloe vera, so I am actually going to go to the... I am actually potentially going to go to the flower shop now and hopefully still get like some tulips, because tulip season started, so I might want some tulips and then potentially a new plant that I will kill again in a few months. But so I was considering getting a new aloe vera plant, but I think I'm gonna try and wait to see if I can regrow it from the leaf or not. And so I might just go for tulips and then possibly a photos plant, if that's how it's called, if they have one like that. And otherwise, maybe just tulips.
In all of us, in our hearts, there's love and light that we must realize. We need to feel, we need to use this warmth that could make bright our lives. In all of us, in our hearts, there's love and light that we must realize. We need to feel, we need to use this warmth that could make bright our lives.
So I just filled my mid-month check-in, so I thought I'd also check in with the vlog at this point in time. So I have some 7 hours or something like that to go in the Ruin of Kings, and I'm still enjoying it very much, though I'm starting to sometimes wonder whether the feeling of being lost, of not really fully understanding the world yet, whether that is still intentional as I think it is, or whether I'm just lost and I need to double back at some point, reread this and figure things out. I personally think that I'm still on track and that is just intentional, because Kieran, our main character, is also still very much trying to figure out who he is. We kind of got that now, though I'm still kind of unsure about it all. But so I think I'm still on track. I think I'm still following along, but sometimes I'm like, oh wait, is it normal that I'm kind of lost here or not? But in any case, I'm still very much enjoying it. I will say that like one of my main criticisms at this point would be that there's been like a time jump at some point and it doesn't feel like that. But I'm somebody who doesn't like time jumps to begin with, so this isn't the first book that I've read like in the last 1 year period or something where I have had a time jump where I dislike the time jump. But especially here I feel like there's been a time jump in the sense that it's apparently been years since the beginning of the book and the point where we are in that exact same storyline, but it doesn't feel like the character that we saw at the beginning of Kieran's story, so the character who was sold into slavery, versus where he is in that timeline. It doesn't feel like that's a very different Kieran at this point in time. Whereas apparently years have passed by, because in the last chapter I read it was really mentioned, like it had been years since he'd seen that particular character, and then I'm like, has it been years? Because it doesn't feel like that. So yeah, that is kind of one of the problems that I have, is that it is a little bit unclear to me, the passage of time. So I don't know if that's just written in that way so that no emphasis goes to how much time passes by, but if that is the case, then I do find that to be a little bit of a problem, because if you're going to let years pass by, then I need to feel those years passing by, or I need to feel some sort of a change in the character. But so apart from that, I'm very much still enjoying it, and I'm so eager to find out more of the complexity of this world. I very much love this world building. I just wish I understood more of it at this point, I guess.
All of us, in our hearts, there's love and light that we must realize. We need to feel, we need to use this warmth that could make bright our lives.